Hello everyone, so my name is Tom Krikorian and I'm going to give a talk in search of the perfect visionOS workflow, where I'll try to talk how I built a business powered by AI. So as I've said, my name is Tom Krikorian. I'm a developer and entrepreneur from France, Paris, and I'm a co-founder of the company called Studio Mesh, which I actually joined this month, so it's pretty new. It's a company, we're 3 people from France. We have more than 10 years experience in XR, and we're mainly focused on the Vision Pro right now. During the past 2 years, we had the opportunity to build many apps for the Vision Pro, and some of them are featured by Apple on their store. So for example, there is Polio's Last Mile that we did for REM5 Studios. There is TGV Inouï Experience for the company SNCF, the train company in France, if you don't know. And then there is Rebuilding Notre Dame from Targo. So we can proudly say that we know a bit about building visionOS apps. Building for the Vision Pro, according to the press, is a bad idea. But let me tell you that it's not true at all. Actually, it's a complex ecosystem for sure. It's very early, but it's very much alive, and it's growing every year. My journey into visionOS development, I think, started, like many of you, with the announcement. And then as soon as I could, I took a plane to the US in February 2024 to buy a Vision Pro, or actually 2, because I was really convinced about the future. And then I started to experiment during that year to build apps for the store, to see what I could bring to this industry. And I decided, convinced that there is a big future for spatial computing with Apple, to fund my company Tap2Tap in January. And I attended many events, such as this one for visionOS, talking about visionOS, and which led me even more to believe in the future of this platform. And recently, so I joined this new company called Studio Mesh, because the business has been very good and I need to scale things up in 2026. As an engineer, developer, entrepreneur, I faced an issue that we all have, is that building a company, a software, on a young platform can be pretty hard. It's pretty challenging, but there is a solution, or part of the solution is that AI now can help us. But we need to use it the right way and for the right things. And before we dive into the AI part of this talk, I think it's important to give more context about why you should care about AI into your workflow, or to bring AI even faster in your company. When I started my company and developing for Vision Pro, AI was, of course, taking off at the same time. And I was wondering, okay, I'm starting alone on a new platform. How can I be faster than the competition? Or how can I empower myself with AI? And I was thinking that AI can make me like a full team of engineers, basically. Or that's the idea, at least. And the mindset I had when building the company was that, yes, XR is hard, but it's very rewarding to be early. But sometimes you have to go alone first, because you have to be a bit crazy to launch a business on a new platform. To help me with that, of course, I embraced AI as a friend, not the enemy. It's here to stay, so I better work with it. Before I started my company, or in my 20s, I would say, I would think that it was a bad idea to build and think in public or post too many things. I was kind of maybe too shy or too afraid to do so. And I think it's a good mindset to have today, especially on young platforms, to build and share in public. So basically, my mindset now is that if I don't publish or post about something, nobody would know about it, and it's preventing my growth as a developer and entrepreneur. The other important thing I did while building my business was to say that, okay, a multi-platform alone is a bad idea. It's exhausting, also alone or not alone. And after years of Unity 3D development, I was like, okay, let's build for one platform and we'll see. And I chose visionOS because at the time it felt like the right platform to build upon. The reason I'm here also is that I want to meet other experts because we all know the small details into the visionOS development. And finally, ignore the haters. You'll see plenty of people outside the Apple ecosystem, but also within, that will tell you that it's a bad idea to build for XR because it's gimmicky or whatever. Don't trust them. They don't know what they're talking about usually. It's surely a new platform, and there are many challenges, but we need to take it slowly, and it will come to, like, this will be a very good platform in the end. And with this mindset, I set the goal to build the best visionOS apps and experiences I could for enterprises. And the strategy was simple. It was focus on Reality Kit and SwiftUI, not because, okay, I don't like Unity 3D anymore, but it's a good software to build experiences, but Reality Kit and native tooling is also a great opportunity because you're easier to be promoted on the store by Apple, for example, and also it's less crowded. There are too many Unity 3D developers, so my strategy was like, let's choose something that's a bit more niche. And then the focus on B2B was also part of my strategy because the first year of visionOS development, I clearly saw that it was maybe too early to make money on consumer apps. So as I wanted to be able to live and bring food to the table, I chose to focus on B2B basically. And final part, as I said, is I want to do as many things as possible alone with the help of AI. But if I don't have the AI can't help me on something, I can always hire contractors to help me build apps. And the reason I'm giving this talk also is what I learned during this year of developing apps for enterprises is that as I'm embracing AI as a creator and entrepreneur and developer, so are my clients. So it's very important that as developers, we get up to speed on that because if we miss the train, I would say, then we're a bit doomed actually. So you need to take into account that the market is evolving. Your clients already started without you. For example, the apps Polio La Smile I did for RAM5 Studios, Amir came to me with already some concept he coded himself. He doesn't know about coding at all, so he used AI to help him. And he brought like a fully working prototype of what he had in mind. And he told me like, help me get this finished. And that's the relationship we had. Another example of the market evolving is Mel Rundle, a designer who also doesn't really have a coding background, but she was able to bring me her vision into a working prototype. And she basically told me, I have this code that's full of visionOS mistakes, and I have this Figma board. Help me finish the work, please. So with this in mind, I decided that, okay, as I saw this market evolving, I think we all need, as visionOS developer, to get up to speed on that. So before we dive into using AI tools, it's also important to recognize how to use them properly. The output of the tools you use would depend heavily on what you give them as input. So basically what's in your brain. So you need to feed the brain with data to feed your AI too. The obvious choice here is to start with the official Apple documentation. So you have the videos from WWDC, you have the API documentation, you have the code samples. But then there is the small details that you wouldn't know if it wasn't for the community the visionOS community that's been really great at sharing their knowledge with all of us. So you have open sources projects on GitHub that are available. If you look for visionOS and query, the first thing you might find is actually Satoshi work. It over the pop-ups on top. Then there are great communities like Step Into Vision, which is a website full of articles. I hope you know about it. If you don't, go there. And you can find your peers on X, Discord, or Reddit, obviously, to ask questions too. When it's not enough, I encourage you to build your own resources too. So what I did early on during my visionOS journey is to create a GitHub repo containing everything I could find about visionOS, and I shared that with the community. So you can look at the QR code and have access to this. And outside coding, it's also very important to know about your ecosystem and how the market is evolving. So I did also online surveys with my good friend Oliver and Yuki here, because I do think it's now the value you bring as a creator is not really coding anymore, but knowledge about how to do a project properly, how to do good design, such as the previous presentation shown. So you need to also up your skills outside coding. And now that we have kind of all this data in our brain or that we can feed into our AI, it's time to get to building stuff with AI. So during development, you'll face many issues, obviously. So some common ones are that a 3D artist is still building stuff and you want to prototype faster. So you need placeholders. Or you want to be a 10 times engineer, if that's still a thing today, and you want to code faster. Or you're not an artist, but you want to edit a Blender file. You don't have a good budget, or your client doesn't have a good enough budget, but you want to add more depth to the experience, so you want voice acting, you want more music in your app. And the main issue that you might face today using AI with coding especially is that it will produce garbage code when targeting visionOS development. It will often put old iOS code maybe instead of accurate and up-to-date information. So using AI into your work is can help you be more efficient, but there are limitations. So while it could be that AI can bring you, can help you on 80% of your project, and the rest is up to us humans still, the truth is that it entirely depends on your projects, your target user, or there are so many parameters to take into account. So AI is still not the solution to everything. It might be, it's too soon to say, but humans are very much part of the process still, because AI is good at copying or getting inspired by previous work, but the creation process is still very much into our hands today. At least that's my belief. Might not be the truth in 2 months, but right now that's what I think. Before the AI era, the old toolbox we had as developers, for example, was basically Xcode, if we're just coding. And we would be very slow, manually working with lines. And if we had questions to ask, we had Stack Overflow or maybe a senior engineer in the team. And if he was in a good mood, he would tell us, yeah, look at this old line here. But now it's pretty much not the case anymore. You can do everything alone with plenty of AI tools at your disposal. And for every phase of development. So for research and planning, we have the good old ChatGPT now, you have Perplexity, you have Claude. For coding, we have Xcode now as AI features. But there are tools such as Cursor or RepoPrompt who are also very good at coding. And if you want to connect these tools to other tools, there are now MCP servers. And of course, now we can produce assets with AI. So I'll show you my toolbox I have today, and to get you up to speed to the same kind of level I am right now. I won't cover every tools I use, but the tools I use the most in my workflow. So we'll start with Cursor, and obviously you need to install Xcode, because Xcode is still needed for the command line tools, for example. You need to install Homebrew with some tools here too. And once you have your Xcode project with Cursor installed, we can really begin to make Cursor understand our project. So first you need to install a few extensions, because Cursor is basically a Visual Studio Code clone, to be honest. So you'll recognize the process here. You start with SweetPad, which is an extension that allows you to make Cursor run and debug and do everything you need in an Xcode project. It comes installed with the code LLDB, which allows debugging. And finally, if you want to support Xcode, you also need to support the Swift language. So there is an extension for Cursor to understand Swift files. And then here are a few MCP servers I recommend. So for example, the main one I use, and the one you should really install when first, is called Sosumi. Sosumi allows you to read Apple documentation, so you have the most up-to-date information available to your AI. And one I use also is Blender MCP. So I'm no 3D artist. I'm mostly engineering background and coder, but sometimes I'm not happy with what a 3D artist might send me, because the pivot point is wrong, or there are small details I want to be able to edit, and I can actually control Blender without really much knowing about the tool itself. So this is a great extension to have. And finally, if you really want more control of your Xcode pipeline, you do have Xcode build MCP available. The one key, last key ingredient you need is agents.markdown. This file will help your AI have more context about development around your project, and it's as simple as dropping a file at the root of your project. So I created one specifically for visionOS 26 and Swift 6.2, which are kind of default settings now if you use the latest beta. And it should fix some common mistakes the AI makes about visionOS development. The most common one that we had before, for example, was the AI would use AR view instead of reality view. AR view being the old way to do things for iOS. So this file should cover kind of the very basic mistakes the cursor can make or models can make. And the last part is if you want everything to run smoothly, there is one command to type into your project, and it's this one. So generate build server config. I often forget about it, so I wrote it down. And that's it. Now you're ready to build with Cursor. And Cursor can communicate with other tools and should be up to date about visionOS development. It will still make mistakes, of course, but it will be very more efficient during development. Then comes another part that's a key of my workflow now, is that to speed up development, and especially the prototyping phase, I often want to use placeholders. And it's really important to, I feel, use AI now for that, because it's the earlier you align the vision with your stakeholders, the less time you waste at the end of the process. And you can always, of course, replace these placeholder assets with the real one when they're ready. But you could save weeks of wrong vision with this. So here are a few tools I've been using. The first one is Meshy. So let's say I want to generate a croissant. I go to Meshy, and I can provide input as text or image. And it will provide me with a mesh that's working with Reality Composer Pro. Of course, you can add a texture to this model. And do you have many options to export this 3D file? Another tool I've been using is also using Skybox AI from Blockade Labs. For example, if you're waiting for a 3D environment to be done, you can still use kind of a Skybox to 3D Skybox as a placeholder. Or if you have an environment, but you need a sky that fits more your environment, it could be used. And it's as simple as prompting. Again, these AI tools are very easy to use, and you can create assets in literally minutes. And they're easy to integrate in RCP too. So now you have experience, but it's quite boring because, as we all know, spatial experiences often need a good spatial audio, or the audio aspect is important. I'm no musician. I really don't know how to play music at all, so I rely on AI tools, again, for placeholders. But sometimes it's enough even for production-ready experiences. There are apps like Suno, which is quite good at making music with lyrics or without lyrics, so you can use that to bring audio music to your experience. And finally, the one I use the most is actually 11 Labs. There are lots of 11 Labs today is actually very good at making voices. The latest version is almost, if one of your clients listens to the audio file, he might not even know that it's been done by an AI. So this is the level we're at right now on some AI tooling. It's actually something we used in our app SNCF to create a merge between AI and real voice acting. So it's a very efficient tool for when you don't have a big budget for true voice acting. And now it's your turn to find the right tools for your process. It's, I think, really important to get started now. The ecosystem keeps evolving, but there are already so many good resources online for you to explore these ideas. So I encourage you to start today. If you don't have Cursor installed, even if you're not a coder, as I said, a lot of people, non-technical people, are actually getting started coding because it's much more approachable today. And as designers or as product people, you can get started with coding today. If you're more maybe technical, you can build your own agent markdown so it better fits the need of your project. And of course, if you need assets and you need them faster, also use AI tools for that. And as I've said, I think it's also very important to share your process publicly because it's a young ecosystem and we all learn from each other. And one last piece of advice is that remember that everything is moving so fast that what I presented today is basically obsolete maybe in 2 weeks. But that's my process, at least today, and it's been pretty useful to me and really helped me grow my business. And thank you for listening to my talk. And thank you.